Children who have experienced foster care and developmental trauma often struggle with emotional regulation. First of all, kids struggle with emotional regulation. Many adults struggle with emotional regulation, all right? But kids who have endured trauma have actually had that trauma impact how their brain develops. And when you have like a safe, nurturing environment where you feel loved and cared for and nurtured and really safe, then your brain can develop, and it can go up into the parts of your brain that handle emotion and process things well. But when your brain is not able to like get its basic needs met, and it needs to fight for safety or wonders if we are safe, then, and that happens during core years of development, then these kids don't get the opportunity to have their brain go to a place where they can process emotions, right? And emotions are also very much tied to trauma, right? Because if we're always thinking about how are we going to get our needs met, if we're always thinking about, does mom love me? Am I lovable? Am I worth food? If those are the big things on our mind in our core areas of development, then it throws all of our emotional regulation for years to come off track, okay? So that's why kids who have endured early complex trauma or developmental trauma have a much more difficult time regulating emotions effectively. And what does that mean for us? Well, we can help kids co-regulate, and as adults who are showing up into their lives, we have a responsibility to understand not only what we can do to help them, but also what are we bringing to the sessions? What are we bringing to our moments with kids? What's our own stuff that we're bringing that we can make sure that we're coming from a place that's intentional and regulated and present and able to be there to help a child that may struggle with emotional regulation. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that intro, and then we're going to dive into what is co-regulation? How can we use it? What practical things can we do to make sure that we are showing up in the best way? Because I know in the Stable Moments program, I always say showing up is the biggest part. Like, we just need to show up for kids, but how we show up matters too.
I'm Rebecca Britt, and this is the Stable Moments podcast. I started this podcast to understand from all perspectives how we can help end the foster care crisis. The overwhelming response was we need to support our local communities. Unwanted, abandoned, orphaned children are the community's responsibility. We must support, guide, love, invest, raise up generations that will nurture, love, and support their own children to end this crisis. So, the purpose of this podcast is to build an army of people that are interested and willing to take responsibility of our foster youth and who are supportive of foster and adoptive families. This is the on-ramp for people who want to get involved but might not know where to start. I want this to be a place where community members feel like they can make a difference, where they feel good enough to make that difference, and believe that they can be a big deal in the life of a child. Thanks for being part of our community, and make sure to join the conversation in the Stable Moments podcast Facebook group. Together, we can end the foster care crisis.
Let's start with what is co-regulation. Co-regulation is when a emotionally regulated adult helps another person, in this scenario, a child, manage their own emotions. Instead of expecting kids with trauma to self-regulate, like we would say, like, slow down, calm down, chill out, let's use our, walking feet, whatever those directions we have. Instead of us expecting them to just hear a directive and be able to do it, we understand that we may need to co-regulate with them. So we might need to show up and model calmness and model with our body and our energy what we need, what we would like to see mirrored in them. Okay? And this really takes a lot of steady patience and presence for you to, rather than correct, or rather than to notice something and call it out and ask the kid to change, that you're going to notice something, become aware of it, take it on yourself, and then model what you're looking for. Now, we've all experienced co-regulation. Like, there is I'm sure there's a time you can think of where you were like kind of jazzed up or anxious or whatever, and somebody like gave you or you were upset and you were crying and somebody gave you a hug, and you felt in that moment like it brought you down a notch. It was like a blanket. I always think of like a blanket over your heart, where you're just like, I needed that. Like I needed that. And that a hug is it's such a like direct example, because you are literally wrapping your arms around somebody and holding them, and you're like transferring your energy, right? If you're excited for somebody, you run up to them and you're like, oh, and you give them a big hug. They're going to get that excited energy. If you're sad or you have condolences, you're going to hug somebody and they're going to feel like, yeah, I'm here for you. And that energy is going to come through. Okay, so I'm not saying like hug all the kids, right? We're probably not hugging, okay? How can we give an energetic hug? What would our hug say? Okay, so I want you to, we're getting into our body language. We're getting into our bodies here, and that's how we're going to self-regulate. So what does it mean to get into your body? Well, to get into your body, you need to be very present, and we're going to get out of our head, which our head would say, whoa, this is getting crazy. We need to calm down. Oh, let's use an inside voice. Let's use walking feet. Okay. So instead, if you could look at the scenario that's happening, and you could take it on for yourself and try to regulate it by like deflating a balloon. First, start there. Sometimes my littlest child, my youngest, has autism, and so he's nonverbal. So I have to do this stuff all the time, because I think about what I know about natural horsemanship and like using your energy. And because he's nonverbal, I can't say like, Hendrix, what's wrong? Or Hendrix, what do you need, buddy? Or it's okay, or stop crying, or whatever. And there's times that he just gets really emotionally dysregulated. And I have practiced, like while I'm driving in the car and he's having a breakdown, he's really sad and really crying, and I can't just get him out of the car at that point. With my neurotypical son, I would have handed him toys and like rubbed his legs and tickled him and tried to change the music and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that you can't do all that stuff with a neurodivergent kid, but I know sometimes when my son that has autism, he's just dysregulated. Okay. Like I'm not going to reason him out of it. So sometimes I just sit in the front seat and notice how it's affecting me. And as a mom, my anxiety is going up. I want to be done the car ride. I want to fix this. I want to be out of here. I want him to calm down. I want to do anything to make him stop crying. Okay. Well, what is that energy? That energy is like, it's adding. Like if you're in that car and you're dealing with the kid that's freaking out in the back, and you're dealing with the mom that's like, we need to get home. Okay. And they're like starting to yell at people in traffic because I'm trying to like, come on, light, turn green. Just to like, that whole car feels like a nightmare, right? Okay. So the point of all of that is, what am I bringing to this car? What am I bringing? What is my energy saying? And my energy needs to say, baby, it's okay. And guess who I'm saying, baby, it's okay to? Me and him. But you need to say it to you too, right? Baby, it's okay. We can have moments in the car where we're freaking out. Kids cry sometimes. He can be dysregulated. What am I teaching him? I'm teaching him that I can handle every bit of him, okay? And I'm teaching me that I can handle every bit of him. It wasn't my mom as a job to fix and make sure that my kids were never upset. It was my job as a mom to be there and be present and let them know that I actually do know that it will be okay. So I shouldn't be freaking out, right? Okay, so you're not these kids' moms, but it happens in the same way when we're showing up with someone whose energy starts getting dysregulated. What we want to do is fix, or sometimes we even get triggered and we get like defensive. So you have to understand at first and foremost, like how is this child's energy affecting your energy? Okay. So if this takes a lot of curiosity and a lot of awareness. So first of all, you need to be present and you need to let go of the agenda, because we're doing things in these sessions, right? So we're doing like, we've got a 3-part plan and we're supposed to do this, this, and this, and we're already off to play this, and then something gets off track. And you've got this plan that you're supposed to be doing, and you thought things were going to go one way, and one question made the kid really upset. And, you kind of wanted this to just be a positive, happy session, and things aren't going your way. And okay, so first we need to let go of that whole, this is supposed to be a positive, happy session, and I just wanted to come here and do my mentor work or whatever. Okay, we're here. These were actually the nuggets, the golden nuggets of healing and growth that we came here for. And if we're here to build life skills, then perfect. This is one that we get to work on. So understanding if you're feeling revved up, if you're feeling stupid, sometimes you just feel like, man, I don't even know why I came here today. This kid doesn't want me here. Or if you're feeling overwhelmed, or you feel like you don't have enough tools in your toolbox to be able to handle the situation, this is beautiful. So the first thing you're going to do is be aware. Like, give yourself a huge pat on the back when you've realized this is getting a little, when you feel that whoa or uh-oh or whatever, that little like, I'm a little out of control here. This isn't, I'm a little uncomfortable. Okay. Notice that. Okay. Pat yourself on the back for noticing that. Like, it is the noticing. Notice it. Okay. And if you're a program director watching this, give your mentors huge hurrahs for being able to notice, like, I got a little frustrated, I'm a little overwhelmed, whatever, because that's the point, that we get to do the work. If you don't even know you're frustrated and you just go on with your program, you've missed a lot of amazing opportunities. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so now you've acknowledged it. Now you're going to regulate yourself. Okay? Take a deep breath. A great grounding exercise actually is take your hands and put them flat on a surface. Lean into it. Now, if you are across from a kid, do not lean in. Do not put your hands on the table and lean forward like you're about to beat the kid up. But I'm just saying, if you have an opportunity where you can put your two hands flat on a surface and just ground yourself for a second, amazing. I know sometimes you don't have that, but you can take 1 second to take a breath. Just make sure you're coming from a place of like not triggered, not scared, overwhelmed. Then you can get curious. And getting curious is like, oh my gosh, this is getting frustrated. Or, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Or, wow, it looks like I upset you. Validate feelings. It looks like you're frustrated. Okay. So being able to validate, stop that, call it out instead of steamrolling over it like we always want to. But that's showing in the moment. This is how we regulate when we're starting to rev up. Now, regulating is not always being calm, okay? Because I know that, like, they might want to teach you that you should be calm and bring this nice, good energy and boobity ba, everybody's c'est la vie. Okay. But the truth is that can be super annoying to somebody that's revved up. Okay. Like, I'm sure you guys have dealt with it, but if you come in and you're like, oh my gosh, my whole marriage is out the door. Or, oh my gosh, I have this huge thing that's happening, or somebody just got a horrible diagnosis, and like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot, Rebecca. I mean, at some point you're like, want to shake the person. Like, did you take 6 Xanax this morning? Like, be with me. Okay. So you don't just need to be calm for the sake of being calm. We're being calm to help somebody regulate. But if what would help somebody regulate is actually mirroring them and then bringing it down, and then regulating, that can be even more powerful and be a lot more authentic than like, wow, I see you have big feelings. The kid's like throwing something by your head. It's like, no, now is the time for some amped up energy and some mirroring. Okay. So what can mirroring look like in a stable moment setting? Well, if a kid is like kind of all over the place and like, giggly and falling off their chair and like, oh, you got all of your things out, supplies out, and they can't really keep themselves straight and they're using the glue and now they're using way too much glue and you're feeling like you need to pause. You can mirror this energy by, you can either do the same thing they're doing, like, whoa, look at us, we're hitting all the supplies, or things are, and you can even like take papers and throw them over your head, whatever, and like make yourself really big and like mirror the energy. So like, whoa, we're getting crazy, aren't we? We're getting out of control. Okay. And then because the kid is used to like, slow down, no, you can't do this. And then you can say, I think I need to take a break, or I think I need to run around real quick, or I think I need to go play a game of push the wall, which is just like going up to the wall, pushing it really hard, whatever. Will you do that with me? Will you help me? Okay, so this is like you blaming you, but you're saying like, I have all this energy, I need to get out. Can we go help get it out? And it might even be, we run, take the lap, push the wall, whatever, jumping jacks, and then we sit down. Okay, we're going to try to work on this art project again, but if we feel ourselves starting to get silly, we just have to say this word, code penguin, whatever, and then we're going to get up and do jumping jacks again. And then we're going to sit down. So it's not just, wow, it looks like you're having a hard time keeping the glue in the bottle. I mean, no, kids are like that ain't going to work because they're already dysregulated. So just you having a calm affect isn't going to regulate them. But instead of showing them like what they can do, like you can show them what they can do with that energy, because that energy is not helping us build this art project, right? We're getting way too much glue everywhere, but that's okay. We just need to go do something crazy, jumping jacks, be silly, get really big, and then fall on the floor and get really small. Get really big and then fall on the floor. And then once you've done that a couple times, you can use that. Anytime we ever feel like we just need to go do something crazy, then let's use the word and we'll go do it. But the big thing here too is you may notice this. You probably will notice this more than a kid is going to, right? They're going to start getting dysregulated and you're going to start noticing. And as you get to know any particular kid, you start to know their signs, right? So you become attuned to their dysregulation. So for some kids, it might be like they're starting to chew on their collar or their shirt collar or their sleeves, or they're just like rocking back and forth, or they're sitting up on their knees at the table and then they're rocking back and forth. And there's just a lot of movement where you're starting to see, maybe this is showing me that we need to do something with our bodies before we are spilling glue and glitter everywhere. Okay, so you'll start to get attuned. You might start with that kid, like we don't even try to do arts and crafts as a connection activity. We always go out and stretch our bodies and do jumping jacks or do something physical before we move into developing life skills or some of the color-coded activities. So that's good news too, okay? So you'll start to learn the kids. So there's being calm and bringing calm. I don't want you to be the one that's not bringing the calm, okay? You got to bring the calm. So how you can bring the calm is set an intention. I think that a lot of times we are all just like kind of stuck in our autopilot. We're in our lives and, hey, we've chosen to mentor a kid and that's amazing, or we've chosen to run this program and we're just, and there's everything that's going on in your normal day, right? And you come in from work and you bring a whole bunch of stuff and you know that you got to, get back and to dinner and whatever else you do after your sessions. So there's a lot going on. So this can just take 3 minutes before your kid arrives or before a session starts. If you're a program director, do this with your mentors. but just set an intention. And I'm telling you the intention, because we're not going to have a big agenda, right? The intention should just be, you can set an intention with God. Like you can say, God, lead me, help me, serve this kid the best, whatever your will is, great. If you don't want to talk to God, then just set an intention with you. Just say, I am setting an intention that this session is anything that's supposed to come up is going to come up in the session, that I'm present, that I'm able to be aware and curious, and that I'm exactly what this kid needs today. Just say that, because that's a lot different than like, oh, hey, like getting off the phone with somebody real quick and then like, there's your kid. And oh, right. Wait, aren't we supposed to do a plan? And, show them you are modeling at every second of this how you show up. So just setting that intention and really being there and really being present is what you're there for. So I want you to bring the calm, but I don't want you to be like calm's the only mode, because if you need to mirror a kid, okay? And if you're finding that you are having a hard time staying emotionally regulated, that says more about you than it does about stable moments or that kid. We do this all the time. I have done years and years of inner child work, and I still do this. The first thing we want to do is blame the person or the situation. When my husband does something, I want to be like, if he would just then my life would be easier. And that's it. It's a him problem. But it isn't. It isn't. If something triggers you, it's bringing up something for you to work on. And yes, I could just eradicate everybody out of my life, but I'm sure you've done this before, where you have left one job and gone to the next, and oh, it's the same thing. Everybody just overworks you. Oh, you've left one relationship and gone to the next. Oh, so I always attract these particular types of partners. Because guess what the problem was? It was you. So we repeat patterns. We attract the exact same things into our lives over and over again until we learn how to heal what we need healing, to change our stories, and to create a reality that's more aligned with who we're supposed to be, who we are, who we truly are, not our stories and beliefs that we've learned in this life. So all of that to say, you might even get to a point where you're like, I don't like this kid, or I wish I was matched with a different kid. Just like you wish you had a different boss, or you wish you had a different husband, or you wish you had But the problem isn't them. You're just going to create the same issues, okay? So the real work that we're all supposed to be doing here is actually sticking it in. How did I create this? How am I creating this? What am I bringing to this dynamic? What can I do on my side of the dynamic to make things better? What is my perspective, my beliefs, my triggers, my stories that I am bringing to this that don't align with what this kid needs? And how can I work on that so that I can show up present for this kid? Because the kid's not the problem. Okay? Now, that is exactly why I developed my Heal Yourself, Heal the World program, because I know that it's difficult when you're like, when do you do inner child work? How do you do inner child work? How do you deal with all these things? If I'm the problem, Rebecca, how do I fix me? And it's through a lot of healing, but it's identifying those stories, it's healing your past wounds, and then it is showing up in a way that you can create the reality that you want to see, and where you can let go of all those past stories. So if you're interested in that, that's at stablemoments.com/heal. And I want everybody, I don't care if you use my program, I want everybody that is working this trauma-informed program with kids to be working on their own healing, because it's just one way that we can show up better. I think it's the most important work we can do, is to show up as the best version of ourselves. And we only do that by diving inside. And I know it's easier to go outside and I'll just hang out with a kid. I'll just write a check to this church. But we got to go inside at some point and also do that hard inner work. Okay. So let's recap for co-regulation. I want you to bring the calm, set an intention before you start your sessions, before you start your week, before you do this. Set an intention to be present and to be there for whatever the kid needs. If there are things you need to work on, show them to me. I'm here. I'm open. Then I want you to be aware and curious. Okay. So you're starting to feel feelings. Things are getting uncomfortable. You're not calm anymore. You're knocked a little bit off baseline, a little bit off baseline. I'm a little frustrated right now. I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm losing control. Okay. Awareness. Celebrate the fact that you saw it. I saw it. Even if you go through a whole session and you don't do any co-regulation, but all you did was realize you were frustrated and you got in your car and you sat down and you said, that session sucked. That session was a nightmare. So overwhelmed. Give yourself a pat on the back right there. You're not saying that kid doesn't deserve this. You're not saying that kid, I'm going to quit. That kid, whatever. You're not blaming the kid. You're sitting in your car and you're saying, I'm overwhelmed. I am nervous about doing this. I'm frustrated. It's a you thing. And then you can talk to program director about that. But I want you to really pat yourself on your back for being aware of your feelings. Okay. And then you're going to get curious. What can I do? How could we make this better? It looks like we are getting a little out of control here. What would make this easier? What can we do? Who can we talk to? What resources can we get? Okay. Take a break. And don't forget, you can blame yourself. So if you're like, whoa, this is getting nuts, or like, wow, you're really upset. We're just going to take a break real quick. And I'm going to be sitting on this bench. I'm going to breathe it out. I just think we need a break. Show that you can take a break. And then you can go back to the relationship and say, whew, that was a lot. I am sorry. I needed a break and I thought you needed a break too. How did you want me to respond in that situation? I didn't know that I was going to upset you so much. Where are you at? How are you feeling? Okay. So you can take a break and you can show somebody how you come back. Okay. And finally, do your work. Whatever it looks like for you, you know, the trauma, the things that trigger you. I always say, let your triggers lead the way. Whatever triggers you, that's where the work lies. It is not the people in traffic. It is not the people on the other side of the politics as you. It is not, it's not. We need to fix this, okay? The more time we spend pointing is just a distraction so that we don't need to point towards ourselves, because that's the hard part, okay? I hope this has helped you. I hope you feel regulated, but I also hope you feel okay to not be regulated, but just to, to traverse those waters and paths and take it really high and bring it really low. All of that, like the whole spectrum, the whole point is not to pressure it down. I don't have any feelings. We got to get through this. We got to do this art project. Let's hurry up and finish this. Let's hurry up and get this kid out of the car. Let's hurry up so that we can be done. No, let's show like we need to take a break. We need to stop. We need to go run. And we can be all of the things and we can come back around. Much better to show a kid we can see all of you and we can go this high and come back down to center, rather than the goal is let's keep it at center. No, let's show them that they can actually bring themselves back to center. And we're going to do that through co-regulation. Okay. I hope that this was helpful. Until next time, thank you so much for your service to this world. And just know that you are a big deal.